Welcome. I'm so excited to introduce these two. Guys, I don't know what I like more about you, your email knowledge or your jokes. I don't
Heaven jokes.
know. so, expect some knowledge bombs, expect some really important items that you are also responsible for disseminating to your clients as things are changing. One thing that I really appreciate about the approach that Adrian and Evan have on this whole changing world right now is that they're very serious about making sure that us, the business owners, the ones with the clients, it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone in our own little bubbles know everything too. So we can't just sit here and watch and learn and do it for ourselves. We have to help tell everybody. It's our responsibility to share this knowledge and make sure everyone is prepared for all of this crazy shenanigans that's going on. So there's literally no one better to explain the crazy shenanigans than the crazy shenanigans duo themselves, Adrian and Evan. Adrian, are you hopping on from England, right?
I am not. I'm actually on vacation.
Where are you?
I'm in Gran Canaria, so I'm just a few hundred miles to the west of the African coast at the moment. So yeah,
Me too.
It's a hard knock life for him.
and
and it's dark here right now. If it wasn't dark, I'd just be kind of turn the camera around and you see the palm trees and the sea and the sun. But actually, it's dark and it was raining not long ago, so you know.
I'm just going to be quiet right now because I got nothing.
All right. And then, of course, we have Evan himself. I like to, whenever I'm trying to explain to people the gravity of how cool these guys are, I'm like, these are the guys that you pay 30 grand to fix one period in your email to make sure that it hits your inbox. So that's how effing serious this stuff is. I'm going to dip out. I just want to say that if any of this feels like overly nerdy or technical, feel free to message me because I stay in these guys' circle because I don't get it, but I like to be that in-between person. So I can help translate some things if you have any questions. But otherwise, I trust that y'all are very nerdy and you're going to crush it. So please buckle your seatbelts because you're going to love this. Okay? Bye.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you for that, Jade. So we're doing this a little bit different. I know that some of you guys on here will probably have seen one of the live trainings we've run recently. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to share some of the same message. We'll try and get a little bit geekier with this. So please put as much in the chat as you can. If there's time, we'll answer questions at the end. But we are going to do this a little bit different. So there's going to be a bit more kind of backing and forthing between me and Evan because we're not just going to go through our kind of pre-prepared stuff today. We're going to do it a little bit different, still get the same message across, but we're going to make this a bit more interactive, a bit more interesting. So please, chime in with chat as we go through. If there's any questions, pop them into the Q&A, and we will have plenty of time to answer questions at the end. Have I missed anything, Evan?
Nope.
That's quick and easy. Cool. So Jade's already introduced you. We're going to skip over telling us about us. We've got Evan in Las Vegas. We've got me somewhere in Europe. But we would love to know a little bit about all of you guys who are attending live at the moment. Just pop into the chat. Where are you right now in your email journey? Are you just getting started? Have you been a seasoned email marketer for 100 years? How big is your audience? What email platform you're using? If you're a consultant or an agency, let us know. We'll give you a few minutes just to answer those questions because we want to tailor this for you guys as much as possible. So let us know where you're at with everything, and then we're going to jump straight back in. There we go. I love it, Jade. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Evan and I for so long have been the cobbler with the worst shoes, and it's only now that I'm finally, after about 3 or 4 years of doing this properly, I'm proud to say that we are becoming email marketers ourselves. We've got our own team members. A shout out to the amazing Miriam in our team who actually keeps us on the straight and narrow with our own email marketing. It's crazy. So I think I can now legitimately say that we are we are starting to eat our own cooking. Would you agree, Evan?
I think we've always prepared our own cooking. It's just we've served our meal to everybody else but ourselves. So yeah, and it's tough. It's the plight of all of us as entrepreneurs because we're so busy trying to serve our clients or run our business. Certain things go by the wayside. And when it comes to your email marketing and the health of your email, that's usually one of the first things that, well, it's probably the last thing most of people think of. Some people on here have probably never thought of it. Some people have thought of it but didn't know where to start. So there's lots of stuff that's kind of this mystical dust that's floating around in the universe. And we're going to help to demystify that, let you know what you need to focus on. So not just so you can drink our Kool-Aid, but you can protect your business and really thrive as you're sending emails. And I'll frame it by this. If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, will it make a sound? And that answer is no. And the same goes for your email. You can have the best content, the best offers, the best creative. You could provide the best service to your clients. You can provide amazing results. But if they don't hear about it because your emails don't get to them, it's all for naught. We're going to solve that for you today.
Totally. So I think, Evan, if we jump straight into a little kind of forward visualization session, because pretty much today we're talking about all the changes we've seen recently, and there's this massive change that is coming. And then, as Sho mentioned earlier, we have got a little offer. If it's right for you, then cool. If not, that's cool as well. But let's just jump straight in to our little visualization session. So, Evan, I'm going to hand this bit over to you.
All right, so I need to put my Zen hat on real quick because I want everyone to just take a deep breath and close your eyes for a quick moment. And I want us to fast forward in time. And it's February 1st of 2024. We have just finished an amazing 2023. We had a great holiday season. We brought on loads of new clients. We've got tons of new leads. And on February 1st, you go to send out a marketing message to your list and you hit the send button. And we're all excited at this point. We're feeling like, I can't wait for these results. I can't wait to see people sign up for my webinar or my new product or new service. And about an hour later, you go back and you look at your statistics on your email send, and you see a 0% open rate and a 0% click-through rate. I know how that would make me feel, but I want you to think about that for a second. Because if you don't pay attention to what we're going to be talking about now, that could be you on February 1st. And I'm not saying this to create fear or to motivate you by fear, but if you're not paying attention to what we're going to be talking about here today, that could be you. Now, the good news is it doesn't have to be. And as long as you follow the right process, it's fairly easy for you to avoid that pain and avoid that problem. And we're going to start now today by showing you everything that you're going to need to know to avoid that pain, to avoid that problem, to have prosperity in your marketing, to truly thrive in 2024 and beyond, and best serve your business, your family, and your clients. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the best possible business partner anyone could ever have, Adrian, who's going to show you some of what we're doing technology-wise to help you. And then we're going to go into what do you fundamentally need to do. So Adrian, take it away.
So let's jump in real quick. In the we have created brand new health check. So it's not the old health check that we did years ago. It's not the email smart score. This is something completely new. So if you haven't run this yet, then please go to that link you can see on the screen there, emailsmart.com/health. That will take you to the new health check. It will ask you to register if you don't already have an account with us. It'll let you log in if you already do, and then it'll let you connect your email platform. And here are all the different platforms that we support. The only one we have limited support for is Ontraport, but I think most people here are most likely to be using Keep, so we support that perfectly. We can't support ConvertKit, Drip, Flowdesk, High Level, Kajabi, because they don't give us the information we need, and we can't support Kartra for the same reason. But any of the platforms you can see at the top of the screen there, we can support. So please have a go and check this either straight away if you've got time. And if you have got time now, then make note of that address, smart.com/health, and go and check your health score, because this is what it will look like.
Hopefully.
And as you can, Evan?
Hopefully lots of green.
Hopefully lots of greens. Although, to be completely open and transparent here, because so much is changing, everyone has got to raise their game. I'll be completely honest, ourselves, we had reds and yellows across the board only a month ago. We have had to change things. You guys need to change things as well. You might have had an almost perfect SMART score in the past. Unfortunately, things have changed and you're going to need to tighten your thresholds. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because where we're going to get to is making sure that all the things matter. But right now, there's something that is even more important, and that is this bit. I've zoomed in. Authentication. This is one big thing that is changing on February 1st. Google and Yahoo are going to insist that everyone has correct email authentication set up using DKIM, SP. That's what we're going to talk about later on. If you don't have that green check mark for authentication on the health check, then you are going to be in trouble come February 1st, as Em already said. The other thing very quickly is if you are an agency or a consultant who work with multiple clients, we have a very simple summary for agencies that will summarize all the information for all of your clients. It takes about 2 minutes to set up each client. Very quick, very easy. Again, we're quite happy to hook you up with a free sample of that if you want to see how all of your clients are getting on. Because again, if you're responsible for other clients, then you have to make sure they're ready for February the 1st. Have I missed anything, Evan?
Nope, you've nailed it.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to jump on very quickly.
Adrian, real quick. You said something that really just want to stick out. If you're a consultant or agency and you're handling marketing for your clients, it goes back to if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? No. So if the emails that you create for your clients do not make it to their final destination, it's a reflection of your level of service in their eyes. So this stuff is super, super important. We're going to talk about, and I just can't stress that enough. So sorry to interject there, Adrian. I just wanted to make sure everyone really understands the importance of what we're talking about today, whether you're doing this for yourself or for someone else.
Yeah, totally. And, moving on from that, then, I'm going to say something very simple. This really freaking matters right now. Evan, why? Well,
because if you don't take action on what we're going to talk about today, you're sitting on an email list that's a ticking time bomb. I'm usually not a fear-mongering type of person, and there is a very bright light at this tunnel, but the stuff we're talking about today will enable you to diffuse that bomb and turn the bomb into something beautiful that makes you and your business money and protects you as you move forward. And we're going to talk about the things that you need to do today to really be prepared for the changes and thrive with your marketing in 2024. So what do you need to do? Number one, I don't care if you work with Adrian and I, if you do things yourself, or if you hire someone else to take care of what we're talking about today. But what we're talking about today will impact you, whether you think it will or not. You've got to pay attention, you got to take notes, and most importantly, you got to take action, because the email world as you know it is changing. It is changing dramatically. And if you don't pay attention, you're going to go from beautiful green pastures to scorched earth. And it can literally happen overnight. Again, don't freak out. Don't go into a shell, because we're going to arm you with everything you need to know so you don't become a victim of scorched earth, as you see to the right of this slide. Everything's changing. And the change has been so much talked about now. It's been published in MSNBC. It's been on the news. It was recently in Inc. magazine that after 19 years, Google has announced its most significant changes to email yet, and it will change your email forever. And unfortunately, if you are not in tune with these changes, marketers and business owners are going to feel the wrath if you don't play by Google's rules. So you absolutely have to pay attention, because if you don't pay attention to what we're talking about today, there's a cost. There is a cost that will impact your bottom line, because what you will lose is sales. You will lose the money you're spending on advertising, because if you don't get on top of these changes, your emails will be rejected or go to spam. Now, a little bit of a news flash. There's already things that have been going on before these changes, which are driving wasted ad spend on money. We see clients when they come to us for the first time feeling like they're getting good results. But when we look in their email stats and their data through our Smart Score, we can see that nearly 40, 50, sometimes 70% of their new leads, as of now, before these changes, are not engaging. And if they're not engaging with your content and with your email, you're not able to follow up. And if you can't follow up, as Jeremiah said in the main stage, you're never going to build the relationship you need to make a sale. And that's something I really want you to think about when it comes to email, because email wasn't designed to be an advertising tool. Email was designed to be an extension of interpersonal communication, to append to what you do normally through a conversation. And a lot of people don't use email like that. I remember back in my old sales days, there was a saying, people do business with people that they know, that they like, and that they trust. And if you can make a friend and build a relationship, you will make a sale. A lot of marketing has gone away from that. And I'll tell you what, if you want to be successful today moving forward, you need to build that relationship with people. You need to look at your list as a relationship building tool, as that extension of interpersonal communication. So now that I'll step off of that pedestal, I'm going to go step up on another. So why are all these changes happening? What's going on in the world that's driving this? Well, people are sending a lot more emails. And a lot of this, I think this problem is going on for a long time, but it really came to a head when COVID hit. So 2019, the average daily volume of global email was 293 billion emails a day. Fast forward to September of 2023, that number was 343 billion emails a day. The average working age person in the United States is receiving 150 to 200 emails a day. People are in a state of email overload. And because there is so much information coming at them, people are spending much less time engaging with email, but they're also spending less time engaging with brands. Remember that, because we're going to show you something in a minute to prove that. Now, nothing that I'm talking about is finger in the air, and I think that's going on. I think the wind's coming from the south at 3 miles an hour. This is all backed with data. The other data piece that's driving things is because there is so much unsolicited mail going on, people are abandoning their email accounts at record pace. And that's because of spam, it's because of data breaches, lots of reasons why, but they're abandoning emails. That is one of the big changes that's happening, actually starting today with Google, about disabling email accounts, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Here's the big thing on why this is so important. If people are abandoning email accounts, mailbox providers like Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft can't make money. So how do they make money off of a free email address? They do it because they build a profile. They see everything you're reading, everything you're clicking on, and they're building a profile of you so they can display ads to you. And if you abandon an email account, they have now lost the entire profile they've built on you, and they lose money on advertising. That's the big thing. It's all money driven. And because of that, you've got to learn these new rules so you can play in their sandbox. Because I'll tell you what, if Google and Yahoo and Microsoft don't like you anymore, they are not going to get you in their sandbox. And there are no quick fixes to this. There's no silver bullet. There's no magical code snippet you can put inside of your email to get out of the spam folder or the promotions folder, which is one of the biggest loads of cockamamie that you'll ever hear, and get into the inbox. Because newsflash, the promotions folder is the inbox. It's designed for a reason. I could probably talk for an hour and a half on that alone, but I won't. I will spare you. But there's no silver bullets. Google and Yahoo, they see all of the gray hat tactics and the black hat tactics that go on, and they're blocking it. They're going to say, you're going to try and game my system? Good luck from doing it from the outside, because they won't let you in. You've got to do things the right way, because everything you do online, everything that you send online leaves a digital fingerprint. It leaves digital DNA. They can connect the dots from who you are or where you're sending from. And there's no way to get around it anymore. There's no quick fixes to this other than learning the rules of the game and playing by the rules. Kind of sounds like I'm back in third grade talking to the teacher. You got to know the rules if you want to go to recess. You got to do it. So let's talk about what Google and Yahoo particularly are doing right now. Number one, all of these providers are finally talking to each other. Now, for years, they've all had the same general rules, but they've weighted them differently. Microsoft's done a few things differently than Google, but there's finally starting to be alignment in the industry. So what's going on? Well, number one, starting, a few months ago, but heavily today, Google will be deactivating millions of unused, abandoned email accounts. So if you log into your email tool and you see that you had a very high bounce rate starting today, don't be shocked. These are emails that Google has been deactivating. In newsflash, they may have shown that they've opened an email as recently as yesterday, because Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and especially Apple do what's called proxy loading emails. So lots of emails being deactivated. Authentication of your emails is no longer a best practice. It is required. This will be as techie as I get on this, but SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are now required if you want to send email. Think of these. I know in the US, if I want to drive a car, I've got to have my driver's license, I've got to have registration on my car, and I need to have proof of insurance. SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are just like those things. The next piece, and hopefully this doesn't impact anybody on the call, but it's a big, big change with Gmail. Now, I know a lot of small businesses, they don't send email from their business domain. So for Adrian and I, our business domain is emailsmart.com. Our emails come from Evan@emailsmart or Adrian@emailsmart or help@emailsmart. Some businesses send from a Gmail address like emailsmart@google.com or gmail.com. Guess what? That is not going to fly starting February 1st. They are blocking those emails. So if you're currently sending marketing messages from a Gmail address, you better go buy a domain and start getting ready for that now. Otherwise, you're in for a very rude awakening come December or February 1st. So what else is going on? Well, there's changes to the spam thresholds that are allowed out there. They are changing the way they measure and monitor complaints as well. So historically speaking, you've been allowed 1 complaint per 1,000 emails received at Google. So if you sent 1,000 emails to Gmail, you're allowed 1 spam complaint. There wasn't a strict level of enforcement, though. There wasn't like, well, at 0.4, we're going to block you, or at 0.6, we're going to do this. It was very vague and seemed somewhat random. Well, they've come out and said 0.1 is still the limit, and we're going to ding your reputation if you go above that. But if you get more than a 0.3% complaint rate, 3 complaints per 1,000, we're going to block you. You will not be allowed to play in our sandbox. Now, how would anyone here feel if they went to send a marketing message out tomorrow and every email to a Gmail address was rejected? Probably not good. Newsflash, Gmail makes up 60 to 80% of the average list that we see out there. 60 to 80%. So the impact of this could be massive if you ignore what we're talking about today. Next piece up is they're changing their math a little bit. So when we look at complaints, it used to be the numerator and denominator. The numerator, number of complaints. Denominator, number of emails received. 1 complaint per 1,000 emails received. That's changing. It is now the numerator is the number of complaints. The denominator is the number of emails engaged with. Very important to hear that. The number of emails engaged with. So if you're sending to 1,000 people and only 100 people are opening your emails, what does that do to your complaint rate threshold? Drops them dramatically. So you got to be careful. You got to watch what's going on. So those are some of the big changes at Google. Now, Yahoo has really done a great job of letting you know what it is. And I'm just going to tell you what Yahoo says in their deliverability guidelines, that sending email to users who are not reading them or who report them as spam will harm your delivery metrics and reputation. Remove invalid recipients from your list promptly. See, 80% of communication is nonverbal. I learned that in 1995 in my Communications 101 class at Arizona State University. So you can thank my professor for that one. But Google and Yahoo and Gmail have learned to interpret nonverbal communication through whether they're opening, reading, and clicking your emails. Now, here's the thing. There is no bias in this. This is going to affect everyone, both spammers, who they're wanting to keep out of their networks, but also legitimate marketers just like you and I that maybe haven't known the rules. Someone didn't tell you the things that you needed to do. You just thought, oh, I just have to open up my Keep account or my Active Campaign account and load my emails and they handle the rest. Furthest thing from the truth. No one will be spared. You have to pay attention. You have to take ownership on this stuff. All right, deep breath. Happy thoughts. That's what's going on. Let's progress forward. So what do we know? So there's lots of things going on right now. Number one, prospects lose interest extremely quickly now. People are not lingering on lists for years like they used to. 10 years ago, there was this old, every marketing expert in the world would tell you, build a list. Build it as big as you can and mail them until they buy or they die. You can't market like that anymore. You've got to pay attention to people. You have to treat your email as an extension of interpersonal communication. So if you're talking to someone and they're rolling their eyes and checking their watch and looking at their phone, you're going to end that conversation because you know they're not interested. You have to look at your email program in a very similar way as you look at your normal communication. If they're not engaging with your emails, you eventually need to change the subject, change the topic, and eventually let them go because they're losing interest in you. And if you continue to mail them, it hurts your reputation. And if your reputation gets hurt, your ability to land in an inbox gets diminished. So what we've done to help empower you, to help show you what's going on, is we've been working long and hard to come up with a metric that we call the point of no return. And the point of no return is an analysis of how your email list interacts and behaves with you. Now, every list is different. Every person's list is different. So we can't just have this global policy anymore because it's all about your marketing. So I'm going to turn this over to Adrian, and he's going to talk about the point of no return, which is looking at how long has it been since someone has interacted with you, and at what point in time is it less than a 0.5% chance that they'll actually engage with you again. So Adrian, please take over, my friend.
So thank you, Evan. So this is something that I've been working on for a couple of years now because we've all had this concept of the point of no return, which is how long can we leave it for someone to still come back and read our emails? And it's like, if they don't read anything for a week, they'll probably come back. If they don't read anything for a couple of weeks, they'll probably come back. And 3 years ago, and this is the real data we had from our own email list, you could see that even kind of 30 days ago, 60 days ago, people were still going to go that long without reading anything and then open one of our emails again. And then we fast forward to the last 3 months where we've analyzed the same data. And what we're seeing for our own email list, bearing in mind that we email quite frequently, if we get to about day 18, if someone hasn't read any of the emails we've sent out in the last 18 days, the chances of them opening anything ever again are less than 1 in 10,000. So let me just let that settle for a minute. It means that you can no longer send out re-engagement emails at 60 or 90 days, because by then they're long gone. And this value, this number, the point of no return, it will be different for every single email list. For one client I looked at today, it was more like 24 days. But it is typically less than 30 days now. So it means we have to get much better at keeping our audience engaged. It's like Evan said, this is all about non-verbal communication. So it's really vital that we understand that we've got to behave very differently with emails than the way that we used to. Is that right, Evan?
Absolutely. Real quick though, Latara, I believe, is the right pronunciation of your name. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. Please stick around to the end because I'd love to talk to you about the point you brought up in the chat a minute ago. But it's absolutely true. You've got to shift the way. Now, one thing that looks differently here is you can see there's a lot of people in that 0 to 5 days engaged. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. It is because what's called proxy loading. So as much as Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft are yelling at us, you've got to pay attention to your engagement, they're hiding one of the engagement metrics, because any email that lands in an inbox at Apple shows as opened. Let me repeat that. Any email you send to Apple that lands in an inbox, regardless of whether it was opened or not, will actually show as an opened. Google does some of this as well. Yahoo is starting to do some of this as well. People with Microsoft Office 365 do this as well. And it's not just Apple emails, to Jade's point. If anyone uses an Apple iPhone, which is about 58.2% of all email opens are done on an Apple Mail or is with Apple Mail, any email that lands in the inbox will show as opened. So we've got to.
So just to clarify, Jay's question there about Apple device or Apple email, if you're using the Gmail app on your Apple device, then that doesn't get affected by this. But if you're using the Apple email software on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, anything like that, then it's the Apple software itself that's preloading. And that still accounts for what? Typically 50% or more of an email list these days, Evan?
58.2%. 58.2% of all email opens in the month of October were done from an Apple device.
Yeah.
That's
Although what I'd say there is that your list is going to be different to the average, obviously.
That's not my list. That was actually a stat from Litmus. That is looking at
that's an average.
Yep.
Yeah. So some people have more, some will have less, but it's a big chunk. It's always around, it's around half, give or take, maybe 40%, maybe 60%. And Cindy's asked a great question about the servers that click on links and emails. And if you've got mainly a business audience, then there might be some spam filters that do follow every single link you take out, and that leads to false positive clicks as well. That's something we'll talk about if we've got time at the end, because that is something that we are actually developing a way of mitigating against that from a reporting point of view. Although obviously, if you've got automations that are triggering when someone clicks a link on an email, then yeah, we've got an issue. And I think also, as Latara said, these restrictions are becoming so rigorous, and I guess the challenge we've got is that Google and Yahoo in particular are taking these measures because they are doing their best to cater for the behavior of the majority of people reading emails. And I've always noticed, and one of my favorite phrases when people are doing marketing is to say that, your audience often won't think like you, your audience often won't behave like you. And sometimes if we are, some people are slow burners, some people are automatic buyers like me, where they just read something and they're straight in, and some people are in between. And the thing to bear in mind is that it doesn't matter if it's taking you years to buy the offers, as long as if you're slightly interested, I would hope you're still engaging occasionally. And again, with all this, it's a balancing act. It's about working out, well, how long is it right to keep people on your list before you give up on them? And how long do you keep them on the list before it does damage to your reputation? And it's finding that sweet spot, right, Evan?
Yeah, there's certain things that are hard bent rules. Authentication of your emails are hard bent rules. Some of the other stuff is guidelines, and it's finding the sweet spot. It's finding the sweet spot. So we're going to talk about that now in terms of what do we actually need to focus on? What do we
We've just done this one, right? You've just said it.
We did, but for those of you who felt some fear and anxiety and may have kind of curled up into a fetal position, this is the big one. Authentication is a must. Every system you send email from has to be fully and properly authenticated. Plain and simple. And that's SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. For the last 20 years, or the last 10 years, they've been best practices. Now they're requirements. And I'll tell you, as long as you have the right guidance on what to do, you don't have to freak out about this stuff. We've got you covered. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
So
but the thing I'll just go into the mix with this, Evan, is that at the moment, based on the 1,000+ email marketers we have examined, 87% of them do not have their authentication set up correctly. There is something wrong somewhere. So it is vital that even if you think you are set up correctly, then you need to go and check. And that's why the health check tool that we mentioned earlier will do this for you. It will tell you, because things can and will go wrong. And when I've spoken to some clients, they've been very surprised, saying, oh, shoot, I thought this was set up. And it was like, no, I'm sorry.
I just had this happen today. About an hour before we hopped on here, I got an email from a client I worked with about a year ago. And they're like, Evan, all of our emails are going to spam. What's going on? We hired a new web dev company, and now a month later, everything's broken. Well, their web developers deleted the DNS records that are required for email authentication, and now everything's failing. So
yeah,
even if you think you're right, Adrian, amazing point. Sign up for the health check. It's free. Let me reiterate that. 4 letters, FREE, free. There is no cost. There is no obligation. We want to help you protect yourself and make sure you're in a good position. So go to emailsmart.com/health, sign up for the health check. And even if you're just making sure you're okay, please do that. So authentication is a must. What else?
Evan, just before we move off that as well, because we've had a lot of people getting scared about this, the good news is, as you've just said, you can follow the instructions and you can set this up and it's a one-off thing. If it's too scary, then you can hire a professional to do it and they can get it done quickly and easily, and it's a one-off job and it doesn't have to cost much. So one way or another, this part is very easily fixable and it's a one-shot process. Correct, Evan?
100%. As long as your IT department doesn't delete things. Sorry to laugh on that one, but it's true. All right, so authentication is a must. Next thing you got to do, you got to manage engagement. You need to be focusing 90% of your email marketing on those that are actively engaging and interacting with you. It's the easiest way to think about it. And that's simple 101. There's more advanced things you can do that we talk about in our courses and our trainings with re-engagement and proactive re-engagement and keeping people on your list longer and more effectively. But you've got to authenticate. You have to manage your engagement. Now, why do we have to manage engagement? Well, it's because non-engaged people are actually the greatest risk to you for spam complaints. There's 2 main reasons why spam complaints will hit your list. One of them is web form spam or bots attacking your site and forms. We talk about that on our course and trainings, but the biggest reason is coming from non-engaged people that have never opened an email from you, that are cleaning out their inbox. We actually saw a case about 8 weeks ago where this company sends a daily email, and they had someone who was on their list for about 1.5 years. They literally went to their inbox, selected every email that was ever sent from this business, and marked every single one of them as spam in one go. It was something like 437 spam complaints in one hit. Got them completely blocked sending to Microsoft. It even impacted their email provider being able to send emails to Microsoft for a short period of time. Crazy stuff. It is absolutely insane, but it's all preventable. That's the thing. Everything we're talking about is preventable. And one of the ways we help prevent that is through some of the new metrics we've created. So I'm going to turn this back over to Adrian and kind of segue over to 3 new email metrics that you must be paying attention to.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. So as we said, we've been doing a lot of analysis of all of our clients, all the different businesses that have taken our health check, our smart score that we've worked with over the last few years to make sure we're very clear on where you need to be focused right now, what matters the most. And the 3 most important metrics that we have established that no one else is talking about are the 3 that we're going to talk about here. We've got NCI, we've got NLCR, we've got CCR, and we're going to explain what those mean right now. And then just maybe spend a couple of minutes looking at this so you can understand what it means. So first off, we've got the never clicked index. So this goes straight back to what Evan was just talking about. You know, this is one of the greatest dangers of spam complaints. You should not be mailing people that have never clicked your emails, because let's face it, most of the time you will give people a lead magnet. They'll sign up for the lead magnet. And the first thing that should happen is you send them an email and you give them a link for them to download or access your lead magnet. Now, if you can't even get them to click in the first few days that they've joined your list, you're on a hiding to nothing, to be honest. And as we're seeing now, that's a high risk of spam complaints. So we need to stop mailing people that never clicked. Then we need to look at the new lead click rate of all the people you have recently added to your email list. How many of those are clicking things? Because again, if they don't click the link, you can't sell to them. You can't get engagement. So the higher that number is, the better. And then the final one is what we're calling the click churn rate. How many people have stopped clicking on your emails compared to maybe a month ago? And if that's a big, massive churn rate, then you've got to replace those people as much as possible. So this helps you work out what level of lead generation you need just to stand still. Because if you don't generate enough leads and you're losing lots of people through opens and clicks churning, then it means your list is starting to shrink and there's a greater risk of your list dying. And we're going to very quickly show an example. Now, this is one of the best health checks that we've got at the moment. This is one of our clients that have worked with us on and off for several years now. Before the call, he hadn't given permission to say who it was, but he's actually allowed that now. So we're going to name him and I guess applaud him. This is Devon Borsboom, who some of you on the call might know, and he works for Ascendant Financial over in Canada. And they are very effective email marketers. They have got one of, well, as you can see here, they are the 12th best user out of the 1,000 users. That 1,000 number is a coincidence. It is exactly 1,000 as of today that have taken our health check recently. So they're the 12th best. But some of the ones above that in the league table have much smaller lists. As you can see here, they're mailing more than 6,000 contacts regularly, and those contacts are highly engaged. Also, you'll see that the health score is only 78 out of 100. So if you're not getting 90 or 100, don't panic, because even the best guys at the moment are only getting in the upper 70s. If, on the other hand, you're down at 30 or 40, then maybe there's more that you can do. But what we can see here is we're checking authentication, and they have got their DKIM, their SPF, and their DMOC set correctly. And we can see here, I'm showing the detailed view here. Green is good, yellow is not so good, red is bad. And we can see their open engagement is good. They're in the top 37 now out of 1,200 people. For click management, they're the same. And this is really awesome. Only 0.5% of their list has never opened anything. And the only thing they need to do a little bit of improvement on is just getting rid of that last 60% of their list that they're mailing that have never clicked anything. But again, they're still in the top 45 people that we've ever worked with on this. So there's a lot of room for improvement, but this stat here, NCI, we've seen people where it is 60, 70, 80, even 90% of the list they're mailing has never clicked. That is really dangerous. So we've got to be very careful there. And again, on the new lead click rate, again, they're doing phenomenally. More than half of their, just shy of 1,000 new leads brought on board in the last month. More than half of them have clicked on something, which puts them in a really good space. And again, click churn, they are losing more than some, nearly 19%. But again, that's just a case of generate more leads, and you can see they got 1,000 in the last month. That's going to make a difference. So these on the health are the most important metrics. But the bottom line is everything really needs to be green.
Yeah.
This part here, the list return, that's going to depend on how many leads you're creating, and you can only fix that by investing more leads. Evan?
Yeah, I want to chime in on something real quick, and it's the NCI, the Never Click Index. So as a company, one of the things that we do is we work with several of the email service providers there with their compliance teams to rescue and save their troubled senders. And we recently had a client named Keith. Keith works and runs marketing for a wedding photography company. And they were nearly fired from their email provider because of spam complaints. Well, the first thing we looked at was their NCI index, which was massive. And we told them, you've got to unsubscribe these people and stop mailing them. If they've been in your list more than 30 days and have never clicked, you got to get them out. You've got to get people that haven't engaged with you in more than 6 months from a clicking standpoint and get them out. And he freaked out. In his words, he goes, it gave me a pit in my stomach. Well, I said, fine, do me a favor. Go look at every sale you've made from the last year and look how long their engagement has been since before they bought. Every single person that had bought from them in the last year was within the engagement metrics that we recommend. Every single one of them. And 95% of their spam complaints came from the NCI list. Now, he came back and said, let's do it. He mailed me 30 days later and said, Evan, not only are we back with our ESP, in 30 days, our sales have gone up because more of our emails are getting through. And we're trending 20% better than where we were the month prior. So I'm saying this because anytime I talk to a client, there is an attachment to the size of their mailing list. There is this thought that the more people I mail, the more likely someone will be to engage and buy my products. The reality is, as Latara just said, less is more. It's not about the size of your list, it's how engaged it is. Now, this is my favorite slide. I absolutely love this slide.
We did it especially for you, didn't we, Evan?
I told Adrian, I have one ask. I need a slide with an ostrich with its head in the sand. And here's why. Because typically after we do a call like this, 90% of the people will be the ostrich and put their head in the sand and wait to see how things play out. Please don't be that person. Like I said at the beginning, I don't care if you work with us, if you work with someone else, or you figure it out on your own. Do not be the ostrich. Take control, because you have the ability to control your own destiny right now. So your marketing software also can't provide you. It's not Keep's responsibility. It is not Active Campaign's responsibility or MailChimp's responsibility. Deliverability is on you as a sender. That said, let's take a deep breath. How are we feeling? How are you all feeling right now? A little animosity, hopefully a little bright spot. Yeah, Jade, it's only apocalyptic if you don't do anything. If you take action on what we're telling you to do, it's not hard. Latara, don't give up. This stuff, the only reason you're probably feeling that anxiety is because you don't know the stuff. And that's normal human behavior. We kind of fear and push back from the unknown. We're going to guide you through this. It's not hard. Email marketing is still the most profitable channel of any marketing effort you can provide or you have. In fact, if you look back 2 years ago, it was something like $42 ROI for every dollar you spend on marketing. I just read State of Email from Litmus the other day, and that's actually gone up to $47 return on investment for every dollar spent on email marketing. Email marketing works. You just got to do it right. It's just like anything else. I can pay for a membership at the gym. I could go work out for 2 hours every day. But if I don't have proper form, if I'm not doing the right exercises, if I'm not doing the right things, I won't get results. So all you got to do is learn the basics, and we got you covered on that. So Latara, take a deep breath. We got your back. Yep, this is, it's not a fire, but everything will be fine. We're going to protect you. What you're feeling, I see it all the time. I hear it all the time. Adrian and I are constantly doing webinars. We're doing podcasts. We're doing seminars. We speak at live events. We do one-on-ones. And we see people feel the way you're feeling every day. You don't have to worry. We got you.
And I think this makes it easy, doesn't it, Evan? Because what we're saying is, everyone's got two options. I think it's pretty clear which option Latara is going to go for based on what they're saying. But what are the two options, Evan?
Yeah, two options is keep doing what you're doing right now. And in a few months or a few weeks, you're going to feel a butt whipping. You're going to have no emails being engaged with, no emails being delivered, and you'll be going back to December 1st at 11:55 a.m. and say, I should have listened to Evan and Adrian. Or you can listen to what we're talking about now, take this easy steps, change what you're doing, and start taking care of things now. This isn't our opinion. This stuff isn't optional anymore. It's required. So option one, head in the sand like an ostrich. Option two, push through it. Jeremiah talked about it in his presentation earlier. It's hard stuff. People naturally, if they're feeling friction, we pull away from friction. Me, on the other hand, if I feel friction, I know I'm on the right path, because the right path, most of the time, it is the harder path. It takes effort and energy to push through. But once you push through, it's amazing. Because right now, if you're spending $10,000 a month on ads, you're already probably wasting 5,000 of it. Donate it to charity, do some good in the world, rather than just give it to Meta or X or Google. And you're losing that money because people are already not seeing the emails that you're sending them. You can change that. You've got the ability to change it. And we've taken the mission to help you change it. So how can we help you? Well, besides psychological counseling after the apocalyptic fear, you won't need it, because you don't have to be fearful, because we're going to help. Here's the thing, though. Even if this was a full day's presentation together instead of just, 60, 70 minutes, it would be hard, a lot of times impossible, to give you everything you need to know, because that would be like a fire hose blowing right at you. And no matter how good we are at presenting this, no matter how good we know this stuff, it's not going to arm you with the knowledge you need to change your life and change your business. You need more than that, because even though everything we've talked about today is valuable, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and you're probably going to only retain about 10% of things. And the 10% you're probably going to retain right now is fear. And we don't want you to retain fear. We want you to retain hope. We want you to retain a path forward. Now, before we did these presentations, Adrian and I were really faced with one of two choices. Option one is at the end of the call, say, great, here's what's going on. Go figure it out and have a great day. And that's what drives the ostrich's head in the sand. Option two is that we can take a more active role and, frankly, a greater sense of responsibility for your success. Well, we're here today because we've chosen the second option. We have chosen to give you everything we know, not only about what Google and Yahoo are doing so you don't wind up, in Google jail or blocked, which could cost you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in 6 months of time repairing the damage. We want to give you everything we know from our combined 20 plus years of getting more emails seen so you can make more sales and avoid the apocalypse that isn't coming if you take action. So with that, I'm really excited to share the combined knowledge of 20 years in a very easy to do and easy to understand methodology through our Email Smart Kickstart program. Now, before we talk about everything, let's give you a little bit of detail. So number one, the email deliverability and getting more emails seen is all we do. We've been doing it for over 20 years. We've compiled everything, not only that we know, but everything you need to know to comply with Google and Yahoo and the changes that are coming. Avoid landing in Google jail. Avoid losing 90% of your email list. I've seen it happen. It's not pretty. It's all avoidable. We want to help you avoid losing money to these changes that are coming. We want to help you, and we will help you create an email program that doesn't just survive, but truly thrives. Turn your email marketing into a money-making machine rather than something that drives fear and anxiety inside of you. We want to help you avoid wasting the money you're spending on advertising. True story. Client we rescued 6 weeks ago, 95% of their ad budget was wasted because they weren't getting through. We want to help you maximize the return of your money that you invest in email, but more importantly, your time. Because frankly, your time is worth more than your money. And we want to help you, we're going to help you make more sales. Now, most people will tell you, who's this for? I'm going to tell you who it's not for. This is not for people who are not willing to implement and are just waiting for things to unfold. If you're an ostrich, this is not for you. People who are not sending email at all, this isn't for you. Now, if you've got a very large email list or you're doing 7, 8, 9 figures in revenue, you need to know this stuff, but you probably need a little bit more. I will tell you, reach out to me directly and let's have a conversation. People who, I don't want to touch this stuff, I just need someone to fix it for me. This program isn't for you. We have other things to help you. Let me know, reach out, we can help you. Now, if you're a consultant or an agency, meaning you do marketing for other people, your clients, we have something different for you. So that's who this is not for. So that said, I want to talk to you about the Kickstart program. It's everything you need to not just comply with Google and Yahoo changes, but create just an amazing email program in 2024 that'll let you stop wasting your money on ads. It'll avoid you landing in Google jail, and you can just rest assured that the time and money you put into your marketing gives you a significant return on your investment. Now, the framework is what we call our SMART framework. See, Email SMART just isn't a cool name. It is a cool name. I'll have the hat to prove it next week. But it actually means something. SMART is an acronym, and the S stands for shift your thinking. You have to shift the way you look at your email. Number 2, the M, manage your engagement. You've got to manage engagement the same way you manage engagement in a one-to-one phone call. And I'm sure Jeremiah can talk about the psychology of a sales call. You've got to do the same thing with your email. You have to authenticate your emails. SPF, DKIM, and DMARC required. You need to raise your reputation because reputation is everything. You got to transform your content. You know, you can do everything great. I can get you into the inbox, but if your content isn't connecting with your users, it doesn't matter. We're going to teach you all of that. And we do it through what we call our missions. Now, the problem with most programs and training programs out there is they just throw everything at you in one big chunk, and you're left kind of standing there saying, what do I do first? How do I do it? And you never get to where the rubber meets the road. We've solved that problem by bringing everything to you in bite-sized missions in an extremely organized fashion. So this program is 3 months long. Month 1, we get the essentials, the basics in place, the authentication of your emails, the hygiene of your list, and basic engagement management, what we call engagement stage 1. Month 2, we go to a little bit of an intermediate level. We talk about content. We talk about re-engagement, getting more of your list to stay with you longer, and really maximizing the value of your list. Month 3, we get advanced. Higher levels of engagement management, advanced authentication to protect your domain. And then more importantly, list revival. How many people here would love to learn secrets of how to get subscribers who have stopped engaging with you back again? I know most people love that. So we will help you with that with our missions. Small, bite-sized information and guidance to get you there. You get our email smart software. We have a full suite of software. You get our health check, our detailed analysis reports. Right now, most important, the email authentication checker. We teach you about Google Postmaster tools and how to check it. Point of no return analysis, alerts. The list goes on, and this is probably all Greek to you right now because you might never have ever looked at our software to this point. But you get our full suite of software and the guidance on how to use it. During these time, again, like I said, we've organized this really, really well. Everything starts with small group welcome calls. We break this down to groups of 6 people. Why? Because this needs to be detailed and catered really to you and create a plan that you're going to follow for the next 3 months. You're going to start with that. Then you're going to go through our email 101 training, Smart 101 training. It's about 6-7 hours of training on everything you need to know about email and landing in the inbox. You're going to get access to each of the 24 missions. They're going to be done live, but you're always going to have access to the recording. So if you miss a call, don't sweat. Come into our membership area. Everything's stored, all the recordings, notes, everything's there. You get 3 months of access to the following. Number 1, all of our email smart software, which is intense. You get weekly group Q&A calls with a member of our team. This is on top of the missions. So the missions are to give you the information. The weekly calls are to make sure you're understanding it and implementing it properly. Now, we will take a break for Christmas and New Year's. So hopefully you're okay with that. If not, sorry. You can go back through trainings on those times. You're going to get access to our Facebook group and our Slack channel. We want you engaging in our community. We want you asking questions because we want to help you. We have a general rule with questions. The only bad question is the question that does not get asked. So questions are great. And beyond Facebook and Slack, because we know sometimes people don't want other people to know, people can be judgmental, whatever. You get unlimited email support with our team. So whatever you need help with, we've got your back. Now, when you look at the program and everything we're putting together, you get our group welcome call and trainings there. It's $250. You get our Email Smart 101 training, which we sell every day for $497. You get training on all of our missions. I think we're up to 30 now, I believe, Adrian.
Yeah, we're getting there. They're going up all the time.
Lots of missions. That's a $1,500 training course right there. You get all of our Email Smart software free for 3 months. It's $597. You get access to our weekly group Q&A calls for 3 months. It's a $3,000 fee typically that we sell for that. You will also get access to our Facebook and Slack groups, $500. And you get unlimited email support. Frankly, that's priceless. Absolutely priceless. We sell this every day individually by itself. Combined, it's $6,338. This program has now been packaged to sell for $1,997. But because of Sean and Jade, the team here and the community, we're offering everyone who is attending this conference, live or on the recording, for the next 5 days for $997. That is everything. That is the group welcome calls, the Smart 101 training, the missions, the software, the weekly calls, the Facebook group and the Slack channel, unlimited support for $997. And if that's a little much and you need some help, you can break it up over 3 months with 3 payments of $397. And we guarantee it. 30-day money back guarantee on everything. So I'll tell you, like I said before, email changes are coming. If you take action, learn what we're talking about, you're going to be fine. And you're not just going to be fine, but you'll thrive. If you put your head in the sand, you're going to have problems. And I don't want anyone here to have problems. I don't want you to feel that. That being said, why don't we open up for questions? Let you know the link to get started if you want. Email smart.com/kickstart. But let's open up for some questions. Now, I know there's a few of them that have come in. And I'm going to scroll back up. And Latara, I've been having issues with my accounts despite the facts that all of my contacts are opt-ins. So first off, props to you for having opted-in contacts. It's definitely the way you need to do your email marketing. There's lots of things that could be going on, though. If your email authentication isn't set up properly, that's going to cause an issue. So think of email authentication kind of like you're going to the airport to board a plane. Now, if I want to get past TSA, I've got to have my boarding pass, and I need to have a government issued ID that matches that boarding pass. Your email authentication is like that ID. And if you don't have the ID that matches the name on your boarding pass, you're not getting to the gate. Email works the same way. The good news is we know how to fix it. Once it's set up, you don't have to worry about that. Then you go through the missions and learn how to manage engagement, how to write more engaging content, how to keep and activate your list, how to revive people that have been lost and really get to the point of thriving. So that's the big thing there. The other piece with opt-ins is how long you've had them. I deal with a lot of people that have had their businesses for 10 plus years. Well, they're still mailing people that opted in 10 years ago. Here's the thing. And Shone, I'm going to call you out since you popped in. Are your needs as an individual or a business the same today that they were 6 months ago?
Absolutely not.
Are they the same as they were a year ago?
Nope.
They're not. Now, newsflash, our prospects are just like us.
Right.
People's needs change, and we have to understand that. That's why we said earlier, attention spans have dropped because people are solving their problems and then moving on. Once they move on, they start ignoring you. If you keep sending them emails when they're ignoring you, eventually they're going to mark you as spam. And if people mark you as spam, that hurts your reputation. If your reputation is hurt, guess where you're going to feel that first? On the people opting in tomorrow and the next day. And the people that are opting in tomorrow and the next day are the people who are most likely to give you money. So you can't do things that are going to get in the way of that. So I hope that answers that question a little bit. Opt-ins, amazing. There's other pieces to the puzzle, and we'll help you guide you through that. Back to Latara, these restrictions may seem rigorous. They're not hard once you know what to do. I really promise you. It's overwhelming right now because it's new. The way you are feeling is normal, and it's okay to feel that way. The key, though, is to push through that feeling, to shift your thinking and go from feeling that this is rigorous to, hey, this is a path to prosperity, and move along that path.
And we have another question from Ozma. We can actually bring him on stage, but the question is, what about other Google services like Forms, Drive, file sharing? And then another question was, what will happen about emails where we subscribed or we click on links in emails? I don't know if those questions make sense.
Not entirely, but let me see if we can work through this. So, Google Forms and Drive, that really doesn't impact email deliverability and what we're talking about. File sharing, kind of same thing. Now, Google Workspace, where a lot of people have their emails, that needs to be authenticated. Once you fully authenticate that, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, things like when you share a file will be authenticated. If you send out a calendar invite, it will be authenticated. So from that side of things, can't impact it. Again, one fix, problem solved. when you're saying what will happen about emails where we subscribe or we click on links on emails, I don't know if I understand the full context of that, but if you're,
I think it's kind of goes in line with the question that I would have. If I'm running a campaign 30, 60, 90 days, 180 days, and then they go unengaged to unmarketable, if we click, that puts them back to the front of the line for the 30, 60, 90.
well, yes. Yeah, if they're clicking on links and engaging with your email, that timer resets every time they do it. So,
Okay.
the key is to write engaging content, to provide value to your list, to treat your list like a relationship,
Right.
and that starts at the beginning of the relationship, setting great expectations.
And I'm glad that you brought that up about the relationship, because I am what you call marriage material. This is why I've never been married, and I can't even keep a girlfriend. But that being said, I date a lot. So the girls that I dated earlier in this year are not going to be the same type of girls that I'm going to date, next year, right? And the reason I bring up the dating and the relationship is, our needs change, like you said. So the older I get, the more my needs change. Like
the less wild and crazy your prospective dates become.
Yeah, I need someone to change my diapers, right? So I don't know why I went there, but I did. But my point is, how do we get those people where their needs change? How do we, is there a campaign that we can run to verify and just say, hey, listen, it's best if you just opt out? Or
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way to shift? So what is that campaign called, and how do we apply it?
So we cover that in our advanced month 3 of our training, but that's what we call proactive re-engagement. And there is a psychology to re-engagement. You have to understand, number one, first off, why do people stop engaging? You need to then understand, okay, they're not engaging because I'm not getting through and I'm not connecting. So one of the keys to re-engagement is understanding Einstein's definition of the word insanity. And if you've ever heard that, Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. If people stop engaging, you have to realize that what you were saying up to that point was not connecting with people, and you've got to change it. This is where having a very good understanding of your target customer, a lot of geeky people call it your customer avatars. You've got to understand what motivates your clients and prospects. What are their pains, their problems, their challenges? What is the shiny future they're looking to get to? And you've got to create marketing and messaging which is different from what you were sending, that aligns to those values that your customers are looking for. I do hours and hours of training on this stuff, Sean. That's the simplest way I can approach it, is you have to identify when they're losing engagement. You have to actively re-engage them by doing things differently.
Right. And we won't go on
omni-channel too. It's not just email, SMS, phone calls, direct mail. Those are all different avenues. Retargeting and advertising. There's so many different avenues and channels where you can meet people, and you've got to meet them where they are at the point of the journey they are with you. Right. You know, the same way, Sean, if you were selling me on your mastermind group, if you knew that I'd clicked on an email 2 days before a meeting versus someone who hasn't clicked on a link in your email or been to your website in 6 months, that conversation is going to be different. The intro to that conversation will be different. The meat and potatoes of it is probably going to be the same because you got the same end goal to get me in your mastermind group. But you've got to frame those conversations differently. You've got to do the same with your marketing. You've got to build engagement into the customer journey. So it's not just about sending the right message to the right person at the right time. It's the right message to the right person at the right time based on how they have or have not been interacting with you up to that point. And when you do that, you're creating a dialogue with people, not a monologue. And most people like to be spoken with, not spoken to or at.
Okay. So again, what was your offer and how do people contact you? What's the best way for them to engage with you?
So on the screen emailsmart.com/kickstart. If you want to put things in place and learn what you need to do, that's the way to go. If you're an agency and want to learn how to protect your customers and manage your clients better, or if you have a very large list or extremely high revenues and you need more one-to-one help or done-for-you help, you can email me directly at evan@emailsmart.com and we can set up a time to chat and see what's the best fit for you. But again, please, for everyone listening to this, whether you do business with us or someone else or do it on your own, please take action. If there's anything I can leave you with, is you cannot ignore this. You've got to put things in place. And as long as you do, you don't have anything, you don't have much to fear. If you do nothing, be afraid.
And here's the thing that what a lot of people don't understand, because I know a lot of people have been in the game for a long time, and they're thinking, well, I've been in the game since the 90s, and it's always been tougher and tougher and tougher. We're post-pandemic. This is what I mean by this is that a lot of people went out and ran shenanigans because they were locked in their homes. So they went on the internet, they tried to figure that out, and it really affected the real digital marketers, the people that really know what they're doing and what we're doing. And now we have to be smarter and we have to be one step ahead of everybody. And this is the one step ahead. This is 2024. So a lot of people that are talking, they used to say the open rate is dead and you got to have engagement and, click-throughs and responses. Well, now we're even talking about DKIM, SPF. It's going deeper, deeper, and deeper. And if you don't do this now, if you don't connect with Evan and Adrian at emailsmart.com/kickstart, go ahead and click the link and go there and set an appointment just to learn a little bit more. Even if you're not going to move forward with them, you need to know the ins and outs of what are going on. One of the questions I want to ask, because we still have people on, is the Net Promoter Score. You don't have to go deep in it, but does that help you segment your list or at least get an understanding of how your list is going to behave in the future?
Totally. I mean, the bottom line, anything that encourages clicks and engagement from your audience is pretty much a good thing. I wouldn't recommend blatant clickbait where you just put any kind of garbage up there. But if you are sending out any kind of message that's encouraging people to engage with you, give feedback, or consume your content, or anything like that, then that can never, ever be a bad thing. Our job as marketers is to educate, inform, entertain, and help our audience. So as long as you're sending all those things out and make sure that every email you're sending has some kind of call to action that involves a click and encourage them to click, NPS is a great idea. Any kind of survey that helps you segment your list and send more appropriate stuff to the right group of people, you just can't go wrong with that, right, Evan?
Yeah, it's feedback is the breakfast of champions. It really is. Net Promoter Score is a great way to find out how your customers feel about you. I routinely, with clients that I have on retainer or we're problem solving, I read their unsubscribe reports and their unsubscribe feedback, because that tells us why people are leaving. And again, once you know the why, you can figure out the how and the what. The why is the most important thing. So feedback is key. Providing value in the relationship is key. Remember, shift your thinking about email. Email is not a lever you pull to make money. Email is a tool to establish relationships and to guide them through the sales process.
Right. And these are gold nuggets. I don't even know these, and I thought I was pretty smart. But the thing is that what separates the email marketers and email smart is, as marketers, we're all about, hey, write content, have a custom field. This is how you do merge fields, and this is how you integrate. But anyhow, this is how you aggregate data from 5 different SaaSes. The difference, what separates Email Smart from most of us digital marketers, most of us automation experts, is getting in the inbox and getting in there the right way. I remember there was a time when they said the color of your font actually affected that. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an article I read. So do we learn all of these things? And I know that you went over it, but do we learn the little small things like you said about the unsubscribes, and learn how to find that data in your course?
Yeah, the majority of, I mean, everything that we've talked about is in the course.
Yeah.
Send time optimization, that's a little bit different for everybody. We talk about it. Every email platform is different. With Keep, you can read your unsubscribe reports. You can't do that necessarily in ActiveCampaign and others. So some of it is really dependent on what the platform that you're using gives you visibility on.
Right.
But we talk about everything. We don't keep secrets. We don't have this magical fairy dust that we keep in our back pockets. We truly believe in empowering our clients and empowering our customers and giving you things you need to know. Now, will there come a time where there's something really advanced and you need super duper help? Yeah, probably. But this course is going to solve 80-90% of the issues you could ever run into.
Right. And that's the point that I was making, is like with Email Smart, if you go to emailsmart.com/kickstart, there's just these little idiosyncrasies between each software package out there in each application. So they're going to give you a customized plan. It's not templated. It's not something that's just handed like buffet style. You really they know the ins and outs of all the different SaaS out there and all the email applications out there. And this is why, even as smart as we are as marketers, it's important to set an appointment with these guys and get to know a little bit of what's going on with your specific software. And they'll come up with a customized plan so that you can get on board and get in that inbox and make more money in less time with less effort using the emailsmart.com application and design, right?
Yep. Now, Sean, there's a few questions that came in. I think Jade has reiterated one. Basically what Jade posted was, the question was, if you get too many spam reports, will that affect your Google Workspace account or sender reputation? Everything you do from an email from your domain hits your reputation. It doesn't matter whether it's from Keep, if you're sending mails. If you're getting high spam reports from your domain, that will impact you everywhere you send. It's not just siloed by what tool you send from. So yeah, so if you're running a Google group and you're just adding people into Google groups and it's sending an email from your domain and those are getting marked as spam, yes, that will hurt your sender reputation. And then emails you send out of your marketing platform can go to spam. Same as in reverse. If you're doing if you're getting a lot of spam complaints on emails you're sending out of your Google Workspace account, that can damage your reputation and impact everywhere. I've had people that have had their Google Workspace accounts shut down because they are sending massive amounts of spam. So you got to be careful. It impacts things everywhere. Kind of tie into a question that Cindy just asked. Are there any special issues with having emails coming from multiple domains? Yes and no. Number one, Google's really good, and Microsoft, about playing connect the dots. They know where things are coming from. They know what's interconnected. So my question always comes with that is, why are you sending from multiple domains? If they're opting into domain A, you need to mail them from domain A, because if they opt into domain A and then you start mailing them out of domain B, C, D, and E, they're not going to necessarily know what those other brands are. They're probably going to mark them as spam. Nor do you have permission to mail them from those other brands. And that's a big one, because there are now spam laws around the world that require certain things. Canada, very strict spam laws, and they enforce them. Australia, New Zealand, very strict spam laws, and they enforce them. EU, UK, very strict spam laws that they don't really enforce too much right now. Now, the US, a little different. Up until now, it's been the wild, wild west. Canned spam was the weakest spam law there is. Well, newsflash, on the books right now are 6 states that have individual spam laws that supersede federal canned spam law. California has the strictest. It's been in play for 2 years now. 5 more states will be coming online by the 1st of January with other spam laws, and 1 state will be coming along with their own spam law in 2025. you've got to follow legal things around sending unsolicited mail because you can't get fined. I had to remedy that for someone in Australia who had a spam complaint reported to Australian government. They got faced with a $5,000 fine. We were able to show proof of opt-in, and we're able to avoid that. So you got to pay attention to those things. Cindy, if you're sending from multiple domains, just make sure you have permission.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring Cindy on stage and have a little bit of. So I'm going to click, and I'm not sure if she'll. We're waiting. Okay, here she comes.
Yeah, so I think Cindy typed in because they have their sister company that uses the app, and that's fine. You know, you can have different brands like with Keep. If you've got kind of two brands in the same application, that's fine. You just want to make sure you're keeping segmentation with that. And if they're only opted to brand A, they're only getting mail from brand A. If they're opted into brand B, they're only getting mail from brand B. But if they're opted into both, you can get them from both. The potential challenge you could run into with that in Keep, Cindy, is if they click to unsubscribe, pulls them out of everything.
Totally experienced that. What if one of those domains isn't following best practices? Will it hurt the ones that are because we're in the same Keep app?
Yes, it can. So every email that gets sent out, again, there's a digital fingerprint to that. There's lots of encoding that goes along inside of that email. Tracking links are similar. Return path is similar. It has the app name associated with things. So those all leave a fingerprint. And if you've got two businesses or two brands running out of the same app, and I'm just going to say this, and please don't take offense, if one app jumps into Lake Stupid and causes major problems, it can potentially cause problems for the other app. Where you would likely see that first is at Microsoft because they pay a little bit more attention to that stuff. But if it gets really, really bad, it can impact things. It kind of the factor would be Microsoft, then Yahoo and Apple, and then Google lastly there. Google is a little bit more isolated. It predominantly goes off of the DKIM domain. So what's going on from brand A out of that app probably won't affect brand B at Google unless it gets really, really, really bad. But if you're B2B, you probably are dealing a lot with Microsoft, which then you're dealing with things like Proofpoint, big corporate spam filters, where they look at everything, can have a greater impact there.
Thank you.
So the answer is you got to be careful. You got to pay attention to this stuff because they are fighting spam far harder than ever. And what everyone here needs to realize is that the mailbox provider's definition of spam is different than what most of us right now probably consider spam. Right now, most people on this call, if I was to ask the question, what is spam? It's unsolicited emails. It's the emails that we get for mail growth stuff and, scam emails and all of that nonsense. Or, the crown prince who wants to send you $1 million if you give him $1,500 today. That's what most of us consider spam. But the mailbox providers have a much broader definition. And the main thing there is if you're getting a lot of spam complaints, you're a spammer, and we're going to treat you like that. If you're sending lots of emails that people are not engaging with ever, you're a spammer, and we're going to treat you as such. So we cover all of that in the course. Like if you go through our trainings and our courses, you will be armed with everything you need to know. And the only reason you'll have a problem is if you don't pay attention to it. And that's just the God's honest truth.
So I don't know.
So Evan?
Go ahead, Adrian. But I want to bring Latara on. If you guys have time, can we bring her up?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Sean. We're great minds think alike because, Latara asked a great question about cold email marketing. And, that is one of the things that Evan gets totally on his soapbox about. So let's talk about that for a minute.
I'll let you go on that one first, Adrian.
Okay.
And, while we're waiting for Latara to come on stage, oh, here she comes. Okay.
Hi, Latara.
I cannot see myself. What's going on here? There we are.
Hey!
Hello!
There we go.
So I actually had a lot of
So-
questions. I'm not sure which one you wanted me to address, Sean.
Well, let's start with the cold email one, because I think that's a really that's a really cool question, because it's always been something that has been frowned upon, but the tighter that Google and Yahoo are making the emails, and then the more difficult it's going to get. And I think we just wanted to really focus on that, because the number of times we've had people come to us saying, "Hey, we want to get cold emails through. Can you help us?" And what we have to remember is that Google in particular have invested millions in AI over the years that can spot all kinds of patterns and things like that. And every time we have tried to help a client set up cold emails, it has always ended in tears. They normally get blocked by Google within hours, and they'll get blocked by other platforms within days. And the only place where you can get stuff through normal will be the little kind of, 2-cent internet providers that haven't invested well in anti-spam infrastructure. So, and the only way that emails have got through in the past have been if you don't enable authentication. Because obviously at that point, Google can't be 100% sure where they came from, which is what spammers do, and that's why the spammers stuff gets through so much at the moment. But if we're saying that Google are going to reject anything that isn't authenticated, then the cold emailers are going to have the same challenge as the spammers, because they will get caught and shut down by Google and blocked, quicker than you can say spam trap. So this is the most important thing on that. And we have tried to help people who want to do cold emails. We've tended to fail because it's so difficult, and we just don't really like doing that. Now, what we'll do is we will encourage people to find other ways of doing that outreach, whether it's by direct mail, whether it's by phone call, the ways, because the problem is, anything free is generally worth what you pay for it. You're not paying anything for email. So you've got to recognize that means that Google and co want to make money out of it. And if they want to make money out of it, we've got to play by their rules. If you've got other questions, then that's cool. Anything you want to add before we let Latara have any other questions she's got?
Yeah. So there are people that are very good with cold outreach. Here's the thing. You cannot use cold outreach to blast a big list. If you're going to just want to blast a list and send the same message to everyone, you will fail at cold outreach. No ifs, ands, or buts. But if you're personalized, if you're targeted, if you're looking at it from a relationship standpoint, you're doing some research before you mail people, and you're customizing those emails, and you're controlling who you're sending to at a volume that looks frankly real, you can succeed. You just got to be smart. You've got to, again, look at it like a relationship. I want to establish a relationship with this person. Well, first thing you got to realize about people, everyone's different. Everyone has different needs. Everyone responds to different things. And your cold mail has to match that.
Okay. I see.
Think of it like this way. I think most of us here are probably on LinkedIn. Most of us here have gotten the unsolicited emails off of LinkedIn, and you can look at an email and what is automated and just broad sprayed out versus what is personalized. And I know for me, if it's not personalized, the first thing I do is delete. I don't even read it. I look, it's not there. But if it's creating a conversation with me, if I can see that someone is really personally reaching out to me, I'm much more likely to respond.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
So you said you had any other questions, Latara?
I did have something about, are you providing your own CRM?
No,
we're not. All we're doing is we're showing people how they can use pretty much any CRM out there, as long as there's some basic principles that the CRM follows that helps you to do the things we teach. Then everything we share is pretty much CRM agnostic. As we said, there's some platforms that don't give you the amount of information on your audience that we feel is needed, and we would recommend to avoid those particularly if you've got a larger email list. But as long as you can apply some or all of the principles we teach, then there's no reason why you can't use any of those. I won't call out any specific platforms that are on my kind of don't touch with the barge pole list, but there are a few of them. But here's the thing. If you like the platform you're using for everything else and you're getting good enough results, then don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and switch to something else just to get slightly better email performance, because every time you switch platforms, that's going to hurt you, and it's going to take maybe, Google in particular is suspicious of change. So, it's much better to stay where you are unless there's a really pressing reason to move. We could be a lot more. Go on in.
No, great statement there, Adrian. Latara, in the U.S. with law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Well, with the mailbox providers now, if you're making changes or doing something new, you are guilty until proven innocent. So you got to realize that. Jumping from platform to platform will not solve things, because frankly, platform, as long as you're using a reputable email platform doesn't matter. It's about your reputation as a sender. And just like everything else, they like seeing consistency. If you're sending 1,000 emails a day on average, and then all of a sudden you go up to 10,000 emails a day, guess what? It's going to raise a flag with Google. They're going to be, whoa, you're doing something different. This isn't right. We're going to filter you. If you are using, let's say, Keep one day, and then a month later you start mailing from Active Campaign, they're going to go, whoa, something's different here. What's going on? Change creates, it brings the focus on you and the filtering. So,
and this is why it's so important to have email smart, because it's customized specifically for you. So it's not so much about the CRM, it's more about the customization of the design of getting in the inbox. So there is another question from our very own Jade Olivia, and she's asking if We Deliver is still a thing or worth mentioning.
Okay, so I'll answer that one, because We Deliver is my baby. So a bit of history. I created We Deliver back in about 2015 to help reroute emails that Keep was sending back in the days when Keep didn't always have the best sending reputation. So fast forward to 2023, and actually much sooner than that, Keep essentially put my We Deliver platform out of business because they did an awesome job managing their own reputation to the point where I'd say 99% of all emails sent from Keep are going to get delivered. And there's only specific instances where you've got very specific niche, hard to reach audiences where the We Deliver platform might still help. So as an example, we've got one client where they're using it because the German mailbox providers are looking at mailers right now. So we can work around that. We've got another client where they've got a lot of business to business clients, corporate audience members, and financial institutions and governments and stuff like that. Again, where they block marketing emails. So We Deliver is a good solution where you've got a very difficult to reach audience that's in a particular niche. But in general, then using Keep or whatever other email marketing platform you're using is probably more than sufficient.
Okay, well, I have a question. So I have a business partner. My main business partner is, so we do a business in Israel, which is very complicated right now because of what the sign of the times. And so he took our brand domain, and I told him, if you guys are business partners, so you know that sometimes you have a little rap battle going on. And so he took all of these emails and he scraped them, and he got like 8,000 emails. He uploaded it into something called Campaigner, and he blasted out 8,000 emails. And I go, dude, you're going to get blacklisted. This is our primary domain. You can't do that. Blah, 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 this and that and this and that. And he'd go, well, look, I got a 25% open rate. And then he did it again. And he kept saying, and I'm like, how is this happening when he's just like blasting stuff out like a howitzer? So is there an explanation for how he's not getting, or is there, first, how is that happening? And second, if a domain is blacklisted, how do we find that? And if it's not blacklisted, is there a way for us to know if it's on the verge?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say there is open rates are not real. I do not. Now, I'm not saying don't pay attention to open rates, because trends are real. So if you're averaging a 40% open rate and all of a sudden you drop to a 2 or 3% open rate, that's a problem. You know there's filtering going on. But as we said earlier, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, all these company proxy load emails. If you're seeing a 25% open rate, the reality is more likely that it's more of a 7 to 9% open rate, because 60% of those opens are not real, most likely. Might he be getting through in the short term? Yes. But it can cause problems. I look at click-through rates. If you're averaging less than a 1.5% click rate, you got problems going on. And that's really where I look at, because clicks and replies are the ultimate signs of engagement. And you almost have to think of it like a teeter-totter or a seesaw. You've got positive interactions and you've got negative interactions. And if the negative interactions start to outweigh those positive interactions, you're going to have reputation issues. How do you know if you have reputation issues? Well, if you go from a 40% open rate to a 30% open rate, then to a 25% open rate, down to a 20% open rate, you know your reputation is dipping. If you're averaging a 3% click rate and then you're at a 0% click rate, guess what? Your reputation is dipping. Now, Google is the only provider, as long as you're sending enough emails to Google, that you can see what your reputation is. You can see your spam complaints. You can see your reputation. You can see everything. And that's a tool called Google Postmaster Tools. But you've got to be sending to about 1,000 Gmail people in an every send to register there. How do you, if it happens, how long does it take to fix? It depends on how bad the damage was and how long it went on for, to be frank. I've had some people where it's been 3 to 6 weeks to get things back up. I've had other businesses where it's been 6 months. I've had one business where the damage they did was so bad, they were gone. Because not only did their domain get blacklisted, but the IP address that their websites resided to got blacklisted. It was so bad, Sean, that if I was to send you an email from Evan at Email Smart to your any email address, and I had a link to that company's website in the email, that email would have gone to spam. They saw that domain and everything associated with it as pure trash. And that's the problem. Because again, Google connects the dots. If you've got 6 brands and they're all on the same hosting, guess what? What happens on brand A can spread over to brand B and C because it's on the same domain. They look at things like your registrar information and your WHOIS information. Like, you can't hide, I had someone come to me, someone I just saw that they will be coming to me very shortly. They were sending emails. They bought a burner domain and they were sending emails from that domain, unsolicited at mass, try and get new customers. Well, they were linking that domain to their site, problem 1. They had links in the email going to their primary domain, number 2 problem. And not only did Google blacklist their domain, but they blacklisted the primary domain that they weren't even emailing from. So you got to be careful. I'm not trying to be fearful and, the sky is falling, but you got to be careful, because they connect the dots and everything you do online lives there forever, and it can be connected and carried over. So you just got to be smart. So you might get away with it short period, but eventually it'll catch up.
Yeah, I have this software that it's a pixel on a website. So if someone comes to my website from like hoovers.com, it will capture all of the emails of hoovers.com that's out there on the internet. So the thing is, and I don't ever use it because I don't even know why I own that. But the deal is, the point I'm making is, every email has something kind of like a MAC address. Do you know what I mean by that? Like Craig Jacobson, we call it, it's a hash. And so you could tell by every single email, it has its own ID, kind of like a social security number. So are those being in? Is
Everything.
that number being integrated into
Everything? Everything. The internet knows more about you than you know about yourself.
Right.
You know, and everything. I mean, it all impacts things. I mean, Adrian, you're sharing your screen. Go to gmail.com and click on show original and show the encoding of an email. It shows everything, your authentication, your IPs. If you're sending from Active Campaign or Keep, it'll know it. It'll know your application ID. It'll know the batch number of the email that's sent out. They know everything. And if you're mailing off of the same systems, guess what? That system ID gets tied to all those different domains, and it connects the dots.
Right. So I'm a Microsoft engineer. So there's a thing called the TCP/IP protocol stack, and within that there's a thing called a packet, and in that packet is all that information. This goes back to the 90s, the early 90s. Yeah. And so that is just containing more data and more data and more data. And I can capture that packet, open it up, and see everything. So the big boys, the big four, are actually using some type of technology to know everything about when we send an email to where they can mark us as spammers. The reason I'm bringing this up is, you know, not we, but my business partner blasted out to 10,000 people a special event we were having in San Diego, and 12 people showed up. And it was like me, my mom, my dad, his mom, his dad, his sister, his brother, and my dog, right? It's like, so when he blasted that out, no one got it. That's the point I'm making.
Yep. Adrian, how do I share my?
There's a little up arrow. There's an up arrow and a
thing at the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's see.
All right. So
you beat me to
Chrome tab, original message, boom. All right. So I think you can see my screen right now, maybe.
Yep, it's coming up.
All right.
Yep.
So this is what an email actually looks like.
Right.
So you can see the ARC signatures. Guess what? That's footprint. You can see where the email came from in the DKIM signatures. That's fingerprinted. You can see the return path. That's the system you're mailing from. That's there. You can see what MTA servers the emails came off, what IP addresses the email came from. All of the authentication results are there. Now, what you're talking about, the content packet, guess what? Here it is.
Right.
Everything. Oh, here's the block name that person's Keep account came off of. There's the time. There's the DKIM signature, that digital code. That's their selector. There's the unsubscribe. There's their Keep app name. There and there. You can see this DKIM domain, batch IDs, contact IDs, campaign IDs, mail sent IDs. You can see everything. Every time you send an email, that information goes out and it leaves a digital fingerprint. It leaves digital DNA. And if they can connect the dots on that DNA, they're going to know where you are. So, you know, Cindy, back to your question, 2 brands, 1 Keep account, can they impact things? Yep, because it's all in the email. So shown, there's the reality of what is actually in an email, what it looks like. Here's all of the encoding, the tables, the contents, the links, the background. That's what Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo see. And they are like the great and powerful Oz. They see all, they know all.
Yeah, and one of the things about it, everybody's so excited about ChatGPT and like, oh, look, I could say, I actually wrote a song and I said, but make it about bananas, right? I said, rewrite these lyrics, but make it about bananas, just to show someone. But AI goes deeper than that. The AI is this technology and these big boys, and they're writing this stuff. We just get to experience the bottom. We're like bottom feeders to what's really going on. and they're reading this stuff, they're reading this data, and it's just like in the moment, okay, that one right there, you're out of here. It's kind of like a bouncer that you've been to that nightclub before and you're not welcome.
They're like, you're a creeper, dude. Like you're not allowed in here. Totally. So you bring up an interesting thing on AI real quick. I still don't call it AI because it's not really AI. It's just super powerful machine learning. But be careful with what you're doing with it, with the machine learning and the AI. It is only as powerful as the prompts that you give it. And there was an interesting thing that we uncovered. So I was aware of a lawsuit going on between 3 different businesses that use the same email provider. And they were all accusing each other of stealing each other's intellectual property in emails. They were all in the same industry. They all did very similar things. Come to it, they all had their emails written in ChatGPT. And they all had pretty much the same exact identical content. And they were trying to sue each other for use of intellectual property on property that they didn't even own and create. So be careful with AI and machine learning. It's great for brainstorming. It's great for coming up with ideas. It's great for editing and fixing things that you've done. But in terms of using it to create all of your content, be wary. Never take something that comes in ChatGPT and just use it, because other people are using those words and phrases. Remember, digital DNA, digital fingerprint. So if other people are sending out the same content as you or similar, if they've got bad reputation and you're saying the exact same things they are, that reputation can impact you. The same way when COVID first hit, every marketer and their mom were sending emails like COVID-19 alert. Well, about 2 or 3 months into COVID, if you mentioned the words COVID in an email, that email would go to spam because the AI saw that as a fingerprint. They saw it was something being used by spammers, and they said, nope, you can't do that. Same thing happened on Black Friday. A lot of people were saying Black Friday, Black Friday, Black Friday. Well, the people that were doing it early, emails got through. People that waited till the day before Black Friday, things started going to spam. So you got to be careful with your content. You got to be different. Make it your own.
Okay, thank you. Well, Jade's going to help us wrap it up. But before we do that, I want to say real quick, I want to thank everyone for showing up and for sticking around. This is really cool. We're going to be blasting out an email to where we find Evan and Adrian at their next event. Our next event, Automated Marketing Summit, is going to be Clayton Mass, Scott Martineau, Brad Martineau, and Bryce Christensen. And we're most likely going to use Zoom because we did have 72 people in here, but 50 of them were having challenges with the software. So next time, and I'm trying to double the attendance. This is going to be a great thing coming up, but this is just as great. So I really want to thank you, Evan and Adrian, for showing up today, and we'll hand it over to Jade.
Yeah, thank you guys for making
Thanks for having us.
Nerding out fun.
And we'll also send the recording and this particular event out. I think it's going to go out to a couple hundred people. I have 850 people just on this segment of my list.
Hey, Sean, make sure you read the comment from Cindy about sharing a platform with you.
Okay.
Ooh.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day. And if there's any questions,
Thank you so much,
hit us up.
Okay, Jade, take it away.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. And then everyone, I put the Email Smart link in the chat. I'll do it again. Do not miss out on that. It's so important. But most of all, thank you guys for coming today. A couple really, really great speakers. And it was long because you asked for it. But also, we even had Evan and Adrian go on even longer than scheduled because this stuff is really important and we want to make sure we're serving you too. So look forward to amazing presentations in the future. And your feedback is also super welcome. So look for the follow-up. Please reply to it. Click on it for Sean's email sender reputation, right? We want to make sure we're being polite. So anything else? Just want to thank everyone and thank them for caring enough to really absorb this crucial information. Anything you want to add to that?
Nope. Thank you, Jade.
All right, guys. Look for the recording and the follow-up. Thank you.